Hello everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I want to elaborate on the video I made last week comparing current market conditions to 1974. If you haven't watched that yet, I recommend you to do so before watching this one. The link is in the description below. So last time we showed that inflation will mark the bottom, okay? So the million-dollar question is, how do we know ahead of time that inflation is going to come down? There are some indicators that are pointing to that scenario, which we will look at in today's video. And if you guys enjoy and find value in today's video, consider hitting that like button and sub if you like, as it will help the channel out. This is going to be an interesting video. See you soon. So we know that rising inflation back in 1974 was the key reason in bringing the market down, right? Inflation was going up and the market S&P 500 in blue was basically coming down. And we also know that, as we discussed in the previous video, that the inflation peak marked the bottom in the stock market, right? Inflation peaked here, market bottom right here. Okay. So how do we know where the inflation is heading, right? Because we may be actually in the current market in a stage like this, right? Inflation could just be in this scenario, it could come down for a bit, right? And it can go up again, right? So how do we know that we are right here? Because we want to know if we are here or are we here, okay? So there has to be some other indicators that should show us that inflation is really actually peaking now, right? And so I'm going to put compare US 1-year treasury rate and laid over the S&P 500. So we know that inflation peaked here in December of 1974. So I'm going to hide that. Okay. So if you look at this carefully, what did we see here? So in 19th August 1974, the US 1-year treasury rate basically peaked and then it started heavily coming down. So this is kind of a leading indicator. That's what the conclusion is, right? This was showing us that the market is actually getting close to a bottom because the inflation expectations were coming down, right? So if you would have picked this area, I mean, there's no way you could have told that this is the peak, right? You would have saw it come down, but still you need to wait for confirmation. So basically, you would not get in until you see the change in trend, right? So you would have to see the treasury come down and basically get below the two peaks, right? So the first important thing is going to be here, right? Once you break this below, then you can say, yep, that's where the market could actually be bottoming. Okay. So US 1-year treasury is basically a leading indicator to where the inflation is going. So let's fast forward to today's current market condition and see where the 1-year treasury rate is. Okay. Because that's going to tell us, are we actually near a bottom? So what does this tell you? I mean, look at this 1-year treasury. Is it telling you anything? It's telling me nothing, right? There's no signs that it's going to come down and the market's going to bottom, right? Because this could just go right back up, okay? There's no indications of it coming down at this moment. But we know that 1-year treasury is a leading indicator. Let's look at 2018, right? Back in 2018, the US Treasury peaked right here, right? And what did we see? We basically saw a change in trend, right? The peak was right here, and then it started coming down, up, and then basically changing the trend. That's when we hit the bottom in the stock market, and then boom, stock market goes up, right? So 1-year treasury at this moment is not telling me a lot, right? So what else can I look at, right? Because ultimately we need to look at something that's going to drive the 1-year treasury, right? So now I'm going to show you, we'll get rid of this and I'm going to show you basically US 2-year, okay? Everybody's looking at it, and so I want to bring this to your attention. One of the key indicators that basically the big banks, economists, Wall Street, everybody's looking at. Fed totally watches this. So Fed controls the 2-year. Always remember, the Fed controls the 2-year. The 10-year is controlled by the market. Okay, so Fed's paying close attention to where the 2-year yields are. Okay, So what do we see? So let's look into some technical analysis of the 2 year. And actually, before that, I want to show you a correlation of the treasury 1 year to the 2 year. Okay. So as you can see that when the 2 year goes down, the treasury goes down. When the 2 year is sideways, the treasury is sideways. When the 2 year goes down, 1 year follows suit. They both follow each other, right? Same thing here. They both follow each other. So we know that US 2 year basically correlates with the 1 year treasury that marked or that was a leading indicator for the bottoming in the stock market and basically peaking in the inflation. Okay, so I'm just going to hide everything and we're going to look at the 2 year yield. Okay, so when would I think that the 2 year is basically taking a downturn? Okay, right now, based on the technical analysis, what I think is happening is um, 2 year took a big dip. This is definitely good for the market, but it's right now hitting that key resistance, which is now going to act as a support. So what I'm expecting and suspecting for the next couple weeks and a month is that the 2 year is going to go up slightly, and then it's going to come back down, and then it's going to try to rally up again, and it's going to fall back down. When this happens right there, when it gets rejected of that resistance, that's where I say, perfect. Okay, time to get in the market. Okay. And at that time, we're going to look at the S&P 500 and say, okay, is there a base forming? Is there some kind of pattern forming that could tell us that, we are going to be heading up, right? Something like that. So we're not at that stage yet. That's why we can't call for a bottom yet. And I haven't said anything like, we are near a bottom. I think we may see some downtrend, but ultimately the 2 year is gonna tell us where the inflation is gonna go, and that's gonna tell us where the stock market is gonna go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate that, and thanks for the feedbacks and comments. The noise should be fixed by now. So, oh my god, there was a bee here. All right. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.